He's sitting backstage. So I guess do you want to play the video again?
And make sure my internet.
Yeah.
As you could see, they're going after Jeremy now.
Yes. Yeah. It's
Told
the
you,
bad faith
very
people
powerful.
are coming after me.
It's bad faith people.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on a little seriousness here with TNA. I think the biggest problem that they had was that they were looked at as an extension of WCW, because when it launched in 2002, that's all it was. It was Buff Bagwell and Disco and Scott Steiner. Well, not Scott Hall, Jarrett. There was such a negative perception of what WCW was, and those guys that were all there at the same time. And also, remember, what was it? What was the Hogan thing that they attempted to create TNA multiple times before it was TNA?
Well, they did the band. That was
did what?
The NWO ripoff was the band.
No. I'm saying before TNA happened, what was the other TNAs that were there? Do you remember?
Hogan did like that reality show that he was gonna turn into a whole company type of thing that Dennis Rodman won, because of course
Hogan did. Was it Hogan's or was it? No, I think it was Jimmy Hart's, right? It was one of the Nasty Boys and Jimmy Hart.
Yeah, they were out of Florida, and oh god,
they did WrestleLicious. That wasn't trying to be anything.
Something else.
No, what was it? WXW or something like that.
XWF.
XWF. Yeah, and then there was like another one before that. There was another one before that.
The XWF was that one because Jimmy was trying to get Hogan to do appearances there. It was based in Florida.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the one. I think it was just mostly perception. Even in the early days, you had some great wrestling in TNA. But when you fill it up with, the biggest, hottest story, there was Ken Shamrock and it was Shamrock. It was Truth, right? Scott Hall was involved. It was a very bizarre time for wrestling. But, the 2004 era, like you guys said, was unbelievable, that X Division stuff. And nobody was doing wrestling like that. But unfortunately, they never got that stink off of WCW. If you're talking about a rebranding now, nostalgia is always, it works until it doesn't. But I think if they were to rebrand as TNA right now, Joel, you're doing a TNA show. You do an Impact show every week, right?
Yes, I do.
But there's an interest level that's growing now in that company.
So yes and no. I think that their social media has grown and they're doing the right things. But I think the weekly show, it's not at the level that it was most recently in 2021 when Kenny had the Impact title and AEW was doing some crossover work. That was like the last big Impact run, and we weren't even doing a post show at that point. We just got to a point where people were asking Sean weekly, hey, are we going to do a Fightful Impact post show? Because Impact fans are diehard, which I totally understand. And it's great because I've said it to Cresta on our post show a million times. One of the best things about Impact Wrestling is just that the vibes are good. People aren't shitting on Impact at every turn. Listen, it's not a perfect show, but like at least the people who are commenting on Impact are the ones who are also giving constructive criticism and are trying to think of other ideas that would make sense or make it entertaining, and not being like, oh, this sucks, this is the worst company in the world and stuff like that. So the Impact stuff it works because the vibes are good.
It's interesting, even when it was bad, like even that at its worst, it's interesting how you perceive it as bad, right? Like there's a lot of bad in wrestling, but it was, for a lot of people, there was no chance they could ever become anything because of that WCW connection to it. They leaned so heavy on trying to find that audience that no longer existed.
It didn't help when, Jeff Jarrett's taking up the main event scene, and when they do their first pay-per-views, it's like, as Joel said, here's the band, here's Scott Hall, Kevin Nash with Jeff Jarrett, and we're just going to recreate the NWO type thing. They lean too heavily on the WCW nostalgia stuff. And so people are just like, we don't really want to see this, because the stuff everyone praised was the X Division stuff. It's like, oh, this is something different than WWE, that we don't see this anywhere else. And then ROH popped up and became ROH, but they weren't mainstream or on a national TV deal. And then when Hogan comes in, they try to recreate the Monday Night Wars or anything, and that was a complete failure, but they tried to lean too heavy on WCW stuff when they were presented as an alternative. I think that's when they became the most viable. That's when they had kind of the most attention. It's like, oh yeah, especially again, X Division stuff. We are wrestling, right? That was the big tagline that they had. And it's like, yeah, when they leaned into that, people were into it.
I just never liked the ring. I never liked the 6-sided ring. Not for me.
It ain't coming back, so it doesn't.
It ain't coming back. Thank God.
It should.
Yeah, no, it never did it. They were too big, like, okay, it's fine when you got a guy that's like 5'8" in the ring, but and then you put in like a Kevin Nash and you look at it, you're like, this is obscene. He's too big for this place.
They got to bring the 6 sides back. Our ring has 6 sides. We got
two more sides than everybody else. No, but I'm glad, and something that people need to consider also. This is good for wrestling if they're able to grow more and able to make some more money and get some better talent. Everything is a feeder. Impact will never be at AEW's level. It won't be at WWE's level. It doesn't need to be. If you have talent, they're getting paid something better than what they would get on the indies, and you could grow on television, and that feeds the other companies. I think everybody should look at this as a win-win. You have another viable, either I want to reinvent myself territory, or I have an up-and-coming guy territory that I could see how well. Speedball Mike Bailey, right? He's unbelievable. He's fantastic. A lot of people, they know him from the indies, but if it wasn't for that, they know him from Impact, and he's great.
There's another thing with Impact that I think a lot of people don't recognize when it comes to Impact, and it's the fact that they have weekly TV, yes. They have pay-per-views and Impact specials, yes. They also only have you, if you're contracted talent, you're only working there 2, maybe 3 times a month. And that is largely beneficial if you're the type of talent who values having a lot of time to work independence, or maybe you're just not at the level to be a full-time contracted, televised weekly, whatever. Like, this is a great stepping stone, always has been, because the expectations and the time limit, the time expectations are so small that you just have to make a weekend a month and you're good.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think we'll see what happens. They'll get an initial big pop because of the nostalgia thing. It depends how much they lead into it, but it's a viable. And the quote was right. People do chant TNA, and your show's name is Impact, and your brand is Impact. What does Impact mean? So I mean, everybody made fun of the name, but it's still around 22 years later.
Hard to kill.
Yeah,
hard to kill. Hard to kill.
They've written their obituary 1 billion times. I've listened to every single "This Is It" conversation about TNA, and now I'm listening to 5-year back audio from different sources, different companies, and I'm just like, man, they were doing it then, because this was the time, right as Anthem was maybe there and then not there, and then there was all the payment issues. Man, that this was a time, and they're doing it. We're doing it 5 years later. We're back on it. Not on the writing their obituaries, but instead we're trying to bring it back.
Jeremy, are we
wrestling is dead?
Are we good for tomorrow?
I have no idea. I don't know what any schedule is nowadays. Okay. I'll probably message you. I got to check with Jensen, and then okay. I think we had someone booked. I have no idea. Just keep next week open. Zarian.
Okay, next week. You know what? Let's do that. Next week okay. Wide open. Perfect. Yeah.
We've tried to get Zarian to peel back the curtain. We've tried to get Zarian on Spotlight for the last month, I think.
I know.
It's been always something.
I've had the worst month.
He's either had something come up, or Impact and not Impact, AEW and NXT were running on Tuesday. I was like, I gotta watch and cover this, so I can't do it. You can't do Wednesday, so it's been we've been playing a game of StreamYard tag here to try to get this interview.
It's been a rough couple of weeks, but
I'm glad you're alive. I'm glad you're alive.
Yeah.
Last week when we talked, I was worried about your death.
Yeah, it was happening. It was close.
Your death was happening.
But unfortunately, I'm here. I'm still here on this planet.
Don't say that.
Listen, man, that potato goes a long way to helping your well-being.
That man did something to me. I have visions now. It's almost approaching a year. No, I'm sorry. It's now 2020. It's 2019. It was October of 2019 when it happened.
Wow, here we are.
Yeah, and here we are.
Hey,
Yeah.
by the way, you using your powers of premonition. What's going on with the final battle? Is it a different place than we all thought it would be?
So it's bizarre to me because I was always told the 29th for something, and then I was told the 30th, and then Mike Johnson also was told the 30th. So I have no idea now. Maybe they pulled back. Maybe this was something they were planning on doing. I never thought it was a great idea to run the 30th, the day before Christmas Eve, potentially in New York. One of the venues that I had heard was the Coliseum.
The what?
The Nassau Coliseum.
Oh, the Nassau Coliseum. I was
for an ROH show?
That's
no. For an AEW show.
Okay.
Yeah. I never was specifically told that this show was a Ring of Honor one. I think it was a lot of assumption because it was scheduled for a Friday and it's in December. So it was like, well, it has to be Ring of Honor. When I reached out to someone in AEW, they kind of were like, well, we consider Ring of Honor pay-per-views canon, so it's part of our pay-per-view schedule. So I was like, okay, well, then it kind of makes sense that it could be Ring of Honor. But the 30th, I haven't been told no, but, who knows? It's still possible they could run something on the 30th.
I mean, that venue's open.
I don't know why they would. And that venue was open because Billy Joel has the night after. He's doing New Year's Eve there.
At Nassau?
At Nassau Coliseum, yeah, he's doing New Year's Eve.
Well, how did he... Okay, now we got to go into Billy Joel lore. He stopped doing the MSG residency.
No, he's still doing MSG.
So why isn't he doing MSG on New Year's Eve with a big, massive My Friends and I show?
I think he does. I think he did it last year, too. He did the New Year's Eve show at Nassau Coliseum.
Okay, I guess
It's Long Island because it's Long Island.
Long Island. That makes sense.
Yeah. And he's a good Long Island boy.
He is. God, I got to go to his show.
Just happened to run into a couple people's homes with his car in the 90s, but that's okay. It happens. Listen, if Billy Joel's not crashing through your front lawn, you don't live on Long Island.
Also, hit song material right there. You may be right. I may be crazy.
I may be crazy. Yeah. I'm a big fan of his. Look at this.
Hey, there you go. I love it.
Glass Houses. Yeah. Fantastic album.
That's a great
so listen, Billy, I think they could do something cool with MJF. He can say Billy's performing tomorrow night, but I'll sing, he does a Billy Joel song. That crowd will eat it up.
Jericho's going to get Fozzy on the bill to open for Billy Joel.
Fozzy will be on the bill for Billy Joel at the Nassau Coliseum. Listen, again, I'm not confirming this. I don't know. This is a lot of, stuff in the air.
Yeah, no, this is what we do here. We recklessly speculate until we get it right.
Yeah. We're gonna take all this clip and pretend like you actually said it. And well, I mean, you did say it, but we're gonna pretend it's all.
I did say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? You wouldn't be the first one. Somebody was it with you, Joel? Were you on the show when I said I was speculating that I want to see Bill Goldberg and Steve Austin at a WrestleMania main event, and then one of the wonderful news publications ran with the story that Andrew Zarian said that Bill Goldberg is wrestling Steve Austin at WrestleMania.
So I very much remember the story. I don't remember if that was an episode that you and I were on together, but I remember
it drove me to madness. That drove me to madness because I was so explicit on how I am not reporting this, and this is all speculation, and I'm playing a game here. But yet, reported.
Like you guys, I say you guys as in just the Observer, apparently uploaded a year ago episode over the weekend, and people were running with that like it was new. And it's like, yeah, this was an episode from a year ago. Did you see this, Joel?
No.
Oh.
What did they do?
Okay, so apparently the Observer uploaded an Observer Live episode or Wrestling Observer Radio, whatever, Dave and Brian, from a year ago, where they were talking like, oh yeah, AEW is negotiating a contract buyout with CM Punk. Oh, Jericho, his contract might be coming up.
Does it really happen?
Yeah. Brian, whoever uploads the episode, I don't know who. I'll say Brian, but I don't know if it's actually him.
I don't believe Brian does any of it. No.
Okay, somebody uploaded an episode from October, I guess 21st, 2022. Got it. Went out, and then some news sites listened to it and took the news from it. So one of the news pieces was AEW and CM Punk negotiating contract buyout. Obviously, in 2022, this was a thing because All Out, Brawl Out had just happened and whatnot. Punk had not returned, but they ran with that story not realizing it was an episode from a year ago and not from today. And then they ran something on like Jericho's contract where Jericho just re-signed a big contract at that time at this time last year, I guess. So
you know what? It could have been, it very well could have been, Brian, because they record that show at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Dave had some very odd hours because he has to consume all the wrestling and all the writing. So they record when Dave's available. And it could have been just like, he looked up the wrong number or they labeled the file wrong, It's always possible.
Can we bury Brian Rose? We'll blame Brian Rose.
Yeah.
I blame Brian Rose for everything.
Yeah. We'll just say it's his fault.
Yeah. It's funny, like everybody over there, like people are like, oh yeah, your boss Dave Meltzer. I'm like it's not like that over there. Dave doesn't have like meetings with everybody, like talking about, what we're doing this week. It's a very Dave just does his thing.
Dave has no idea. He's probably sending a carrier pigeon to get the meetings going over here.
Well, yeah,
still using fax machines. Dave.
He makes us all write one page of the Observer. That's part of our weekly duty.
What is this? The Torch? What are you doing? One page.
Yeah, he makes us run one page. Everybody involved, even the fans. Everybody has to write one page. That's how you get to like 60,000 words.
When there's an obituary, it's not Dave writing it. It's ChatGPT and Dave and the fans.
Yeah. It happens. Listen, I think I did that once too. I uploaded the wrong show for Wrestling Observer Live, and it was like from like 2 years prior. I'm talking about John Cena wrestling, and he hadn't wrestled in like a year and a half.
I uploaded an episode of After the Bell on one of the feeds. So I think I was supposed to upload Spotlight, the audio, and I misclicked the audio file, and I uploaded After the Bell, and somebody messaged me, and it's just like, you sound a lot like Corey Graves on Spotlight today. I was like, what? I was like, oh, I just misclicked. After the Bell was probably the last podcast that I downloaded, and I just misclicked it and uploaded the wrong one. So it happens. But no one is taking the news. Hey, look, you want to take Corey Graves said on the Spotlight all of this stuff. Great, go for it. Give us some credit there. But no one's taking news from a year ago because we uploaded the wrong episode.
Yeah. All right, boys. Time for me to go to get on my choo-choo train and head to my office.
Bye, Andrew Zarian. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, buddy.
Bye, boys.
Be safe. Be safe out there as SEX comes to get you.
That's right.
SEX is coming back. Who was in SEX? It was Russo. It was the Harris boys, right?
Oh, I don't even remember anymore.
Ron and Don.
Yeah, they then bailed out TNA.
Joel, why don't you Google SEX TNA and see what pops up?
Yeah,
that's the problem. I know better than the Sports Entertainment Extreme.
You got to put the periods.
No, that's not much better. Members, are you ready for this, Andrew Zarian?
Yeah.
Vince Russo, BG James, the Harris Brothers, Triple X, also known as Elix Skipper, Low-Key, and Christopher Daniels, Sonny Siaki, Desire, David Flair, Mike Sanders, Glenn Gilberti, fuck that guy, Raven, Ashley Hudson, the Rock and Roll Express, Disgraceland, the Hot Shots, Jay Stevens and Cassidy O'Reilly, Brian Lawler, Eric Watts, Hollywood, David Young, Chris Sabin, The Gathering of Julio De Niro and Alexis Luray, Tony Schiavone for one night only because he hated TNA and his experience there, and Nikita Koloff.
Jeez.
They had Nikita? Great.
For a little bit.
Great. Fantastic. So good. So wonderful. What a great stable of the misfits of WCW and their friends. What a fantastic.
Yeah, I was gonna say SEX even with periods.
Don't come up.
Doesn't matter what you do, it's all bad. Use the full name.
Yeah, SEX even with periods can get messy. So don't do that.
Yeah. Very.
Stop it.
Very. Very. Fantastic stuff. I appreciate you boys. I'll see you all later.
Thank you, pal.
Bye, Andrew Zarian.
Bye for now. Until next time.
Yes.